G'day everybody, it's Dave from Wing Chun Mind Force. The special episode today, I've got my two friends, Chris and Karen, his lovely wife from Yorkshire in England. And we're working through a course I've set out called Nim Tau in 1 year. And Chris has been doing it with me. We've been corresponding for quite a while and we've had several lessons now. I think we're up to about lesson 7 or 8. Karen's come in, she doesn't practice Wing Chun, but she's come in to give us a hand so as I can sort of direct Chris how to work against force. So today's episode is about Siu Nim testing, what we call form testing in Wing Chun. And I made a video, it's probably 2 years ago, and this was very popular. This really was very popular. So I'm making it again, and now I've got Chris and Karen to help. That's going to be a great thing. So just starting off, Chris, you do know about form testing, but the thing that separates Wing Chun from many other martial arts is that we have a theory of force generation, power generation that's different from just using muscles, just being strong, just using the ground to push off from, just relying on twisting. Our power generation comes from a totally relaxed body, concept of a floating body, a filled up spine, and using this Nim Tau mind, which I talked about as the subconscious mind, because I believe it is the same thing. It's like the subconscious mind of the whole body. So as you would have seen, and as the viewers would have seen, at times people are sometimes critical of Wing Chun because there's this pervasive idea amongst many people that Wing Chun punches and Wing Chun's generally sort of weak. And when I first saw that, I just was flabbergasted because I'd never experienced weak Wing Chun. So I was like, I don't know why they think it's weak. I've never experienced it as weak. But I realized that there is a school of thought that Wing Chun punches can only be effective because they don't sort of wind up and come from a long way. People think, well, they can't, if you're just punching here, it can't be very powerful. And I think people also think this idea that you see in the Yip Man movies and other things, that it's always got to be this rapid fire machine gun, you've got to hit the guy 20 times to have an effect. And that's led to people thinking, wow, they must be really weak punches if you've got to hit them that many times to knock them out. However, this form testing really it's the basis of our power. And if you can move against resistance slowly yet unstoppably, then people sometimes say to me, oh yeah, that's very good that you can, people try to stop me and I can move them without any effort. Well, that's a good trick, but how about how you can hit them hard? So, well, I just do that fast, and you're going to really get hit, because if I can effortlessly move somebody, without being affected, my body's not affected, then if I hit them or punched them or palm strike them or kicked them with that same mindset, body set, focus, then bam, they're going to really feel it, aren't they? All right, so how much have you done any of this in your previous Wing Chun training?
A little bit, a bit of some Tang Sao position and the Wu Sao position. We did do a lot of training form testing.
And did your teacher resist you? Did they have that element where
students resisting his arms? Yeah.
Yeah, and how did they think about it? How to move against that sort of resistance?
The theory was to kind of go forward until it gets too much, and then pause, and then it releases, go forward again. It wasn't to force against it; it was kind of relax and just drive through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's a sort of a rational way to think about it. It is part of Wing Chun to not fight force with force, or to not push. So that's a good way of thinking. Over the 24 years or so that I've been practicing Wing Chun in the Chu Shang Tin lineage, initially I was taught to not exactly go around force, but yes, not to really fight force with force. But with time, I realized there was a bit of a misconception there, because you shouldn't fight force with the wrong force, which is just pushing like anybody can do, and bracing your legs, leaning, trying to overcome them with strength. That's the wrong thing. But if you can produce effortless, relaxed Wing Chun force, then you can just go straight into their force and overpower their force. There's nothing wrong with just, we call it crashing through the guard, or just breaking their structure. You touch them and you just go whoomp, and they try to stop you. But if you can do it right, you can just put pretty much all your body weight, you just drop it into them, and they're crushed. And you see it happen to people if they don't know what you're doing, and you can do it the right way using your center. They feel as if all your weight's on them, and you see their spine go, and they just can't stand up. So let's just get Karen to give you a bit of resistance, and I'll sort of talk you through it. So we can start with that Tan Sao if it's something that you're used to. So the Tan Sao, for those who don't know, is the palm up on the center line of your body. That's it, relaxed, shoulders relaxed, elbows relaxed. So you move your hand towards Karen, and Karen, just give him a reasonable amount of resistance. Don't try super hard. Okay, so what are you feeling, Chris?
I'm feeling pressure here.
Yeah.
Yes, pressure here. I'm feeling the pressure there. Going forward towards me. I'm awake and a mind from my elbow. My fingers going forward. Okay,
well, that looked all right. So it's what you feel that really matters. What Karen feels is important to a point, but it's your Wing Chun. It's always about how their force affects us, rather than thinking about them and our effect on them. It's always about what's the effect on me. So if you can make it so that there's no effect on you, then they will feel everything. So Karen, I want you to do the same thing, but just really try to stop him this time. Be mean on him. I don't mean like lean right onto him, but just don't let him move. Try to stop him as he moves his arm forward. All right. So Chris, how did you go then? Did you use muscle? Did you feel an effect on your spine?
No, I was just using the legs more. I was able to use my legs for leverage.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. Good one. Well, that's the point of these partner exercises. It's not about ego or being the Wing Chun weightlifter. I can overcome anybody. It's exactly what you said. You're aware of your feet, and you're aware. You probably felt your toes were digging in a little bit.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's characteristic of our natural reaction. Karen's strong, obviously. She's given you a lot, and you're going, I'm not going to move it. So you naturally go to your feet and try to sort of get a latch on the ground, and even leaning just a little bit. Some Wing Chun teaches the goat grabbing stance, where you sort of, when you're doing that, you sort of really, leaning is always bad, because you can easily be just pulled off balance. As soon as you lean, you're giving your weight to the other person. But if you stay straight up and down, but you sink in, soften your knees, and that can be a way to make yourself stronger. But it's a bit of a trap, because in the end, it's still trying to use a structure, like a physical structure, a shape, to make you more solid. And this can be counterintuitive because you can think, well, isn't that a good thing? You know, to have this strong triangular structure, that's what we think. But the way I've been taught and the way I'm sort of want you to understand is that you want to feel like you're this floating mass and mentally you just go, I can't be moved. And when you move, it's like everything comes out and it doesn't affect you. And it's actually, you know, I don't want to go in too much into this because this is sort of Chum Q. When you and I do Chum Q, I'll talk more about this floating body thing, but there's no shame in moving a little bit back. People sometimes they brace, you know, with their feet because they think I'll do bad Wing Chun if I move, but that's not necessarily the case. It's more about keeping that state of, you know, nice and straight spine and relax. So do it again, Karen. Give him a bit of a hard time again. Now, this time I don't want you to move. I just want you to feel her power coming in and say to your body, bring it in. Now imagine that's instead of feeling that you've got to resist her at all, just feel like her force, her strength is like water running into your arms and sort of flowing like water over the rocks of your body into your center. Okay, so you'll still feel it in your shoulders a bit because it's not super easy to relax everything when somebody's pushing on you, but just that idea is very powerful. And are you feeling it? Are you feeling any sort of flow? Okay, so that's the first quality. Like when you're training with this, you don't really even need to move the other person. Just doing what you're doing right now is a great training. So just stand up a little straighter. You sort of, I can see you're slightly hunched, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but just feel the top of your head, feel that, you know, your spine and the tailbone are linked. Your feet are soft, and just let Karen's weight, that looks better actually. Yeah, you're taking her in more now, I can see it. All right, you can let him go, Karen. Yeah. You're a good partner, actually. That was excellent, both of you, because I could see that you, Chris, I could see that you actually stopped resisting. And Karen, did you feel he became a bit more solid?
Yeah.
Okay, if you did. Yeah, I could sort of see it. I could see it in him. I saw he sort of stopped trying to resist you, and then he became more unified. I could see you putting on a bit more, and he wasn't being moved. So that's the first priority. If you can get that feeling, you know, just somebody pushing on you, don't worry about overcoming them, just take them in. Because once you can feel like actually it becomes a reality, you can feel that, the softness out becomes a sort of a easy thing. Like once you take them in, it's as if they disappear or they become just dry bones or something. That's one of my teachers, Richard Antonini, used to have this idea that they sort of become like a dry skeleton. And that did help me a lot at first. And I tend to just feel as if they go away. There's nobody there. And then when I move, it's like there's just nobody there. So that state of taking a person in and taking their force in, that's your Kung Fu, right? This, all the things you've been told about, you know, Sing, you know, the spine expanding, connecting from the tailbone to the top of the head where the Nim Tau sort of is, and relax your legs and don't clench your feet and float. You know, I tell you to float like a ball, just like a ball on water. That feeling's your Kung Fu. Once you're into that state, you just are powerful, and you don't really have to think much because everything that happens out there becomes easy because you're sort of in here, and you're just like this massive, whatever you weigh. Like I'm almost 100 kilos. You might be, you look fitter than me. You're probably 80, 85 or something like that. But you, that's a lot of mass to move around. You know, if it was an oil drum or a ball weighed that much, that would be something to handle, you know, a ball weighed that much. All right, so we're going to try a different one. So I want you to put your hand up like that. And remember the part of the form where we go across the body and then we go out?
Yep.
All right, so I want you, Karen, if you just do the one that goes across the body, because that generally is a bit easier. Karen, if you could just put your palm against Chris's palm and sort of get in front of that palm so you can resist him. Yeah, maybe you just move a little bit. That's it. So you give him some resistance now. Now, Chris, rather than moving straight off, I want you to do the same thing. Just empty out the tension in your arm. Feel your body nice and straight. That's it. That's it. That's good. Up, up, up. Just think up. Now, put your mind in the skin of your palm. Don't think about your arm. Don't think about your shoulder. Pretty much don't think about anything. Just keep that body state. Now, your mind's in the skin of your palm. And I just want you to imagine that move or feel it moving in space. And Karen, you just give him a bit of resistance. Just think about the skin of your palm and just start to move it. That looks like he's doing okay. How did it feel to you, Chris?
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, that's good.
I could see Karen was trying then. So I don't want you to think, oh, I'm probably not doing very well. In my experience, people who are new at this often do it really well. And then the doubt comes in, all the self-doubt, the, oh, that was a fluke. Well, you know, there's too much thinking starts up, but you just did it quite well. Like, it looked really good. And it sort of all comes down to that, because when you're just thinking about the skin of your palm, Karen's not there, sort of you're not there. It's just a thing moving in space. And that's, you know, I talk about yi, intent, that concept that Mark Ho there in Sheffield teaches, you know, the guy's very close to Sigong, Chu Shong Tin, you know, that yi is being able to put your mind into a place. It could be a point, could be the flat skin, and you just move that in space. All right. Now, you're doing really good, Karen. As a partner, the important thing is not to overwhelm the other person. It's much more important that they get that sense of their body and how they're being affected by your force than them being able to overcome it. And I've been in large schools where you get a lot of ego, people who think they're, you know, fighters, and they want to show, especially the other guys, just how good they are. So they'll really make it hard for you. And that can be very counterproductive. For somebody like me with many years of experience, I quite like people like that, because it's like, okay, this is a challenge. Now I have to really put my money where my mouth is. And I had a wonderful experience actually at a seminar with this big English soldier, and he was a bigger guy than me. He's very muscular. He's actually been a commando, I think, but he was solid as a rock. And we do this test in Chum where we do this thing we call a pivot, just sort of turning on your center, and somebody holds your shoulders, puts one hand on the front of one shoulder and one hand on the back. And when you go to turn, that person's got to stop you. And usually we go not too hard on people, but this guy went like rock solid on me, and he was strong as a bull. And I was like, oh my God, he's so strong. And physically, I just couldn't, there's no way on earth I could move him. He was just strong as hell. And I went, righto, relax. And I mentally found the way. And when I started to move him, it was uncanny. Like, I really didn't feel anything, but he was sliding along the floor and grunting, and he was such a big man, and he was like, how is this possible? And I felt like, how is it possible? You know, I felt nothing. So it has to be graded. So those out there who are more advanced in your Wing Chun, if you do it for years, if you've done a lot of Chu Shong Tin lineage, especially if you're a Sifu or teacher, it's good for you to be put on the spot, and don't be afraid of your students thinking you're a monkey. It's one thing I love about Richard, who taught me so much of my Wing Chun. He was always man enough to go, oh, I can't do that. You know, there's just things you can't do, and I'm the same. I will admit, if sometimes I just can't do stuff. You know, we're all aiming for this very high level, but what I saw you do there before was really nice. So let's try the Tan Sao one again. That first one you did. All right, so Karen, just give him reasonable resistance. Now, what I want you to do this time, before you start moving, just absolutely take her in. Take Karen's force and weight in, spine up, you know, link your spine, feel it. That's it. Just totally relaxed. Drink her force in, just bring it in. Now, all I want you to do is put your mind in the palm of your hand and in your fingers. And all you're doing is handing Karen an apple. Okay, so forget about your body, forget about everything else, just hand her an apple. That looked good. How does that feel?
Yeah, better. Yeah.
How did you feel, Karen?
Yeah, you managed to push me back a bit.
Yeah. Well, I saw you looked slightly surprised, actually, because I could see you were trying to stop him. And what I saw in you, Chris, was no body movement, which is the mark of the right thing, because we all focus on the arms. That's where it's all happening. Somebody's resisting the arms. We all go there, but you know, somebody who knows the Kung Fu goes, look at the body, look at the body. How much of the Kung Fu is in the body? How much is in the arms? So when I see a still body like you had then, I know you've got the right feeling. And once that body's really still, I can't explain exactly how it works, but it becomes easy to move the arms. It doesn't even pulling back. Like, try it this way. This is the opposite. So we come out, you know, our Tan Saos come out and then come back. So just reach out towards Karen. Now, Karen, grab him by the wrists. That's it. And I want you to stop. He's going to bring his hand back now, and I want you to stop him. Okay, so just do it. That looked all right. How did you feel, Chris?
Yeah, felt good. Yeah, felt better that one. Yeah.
Did your toes dig in?
Yeah, my body being straight and the spot of the arm back naturally. Yeah, I didn't think about trying to pull. Yeah.
Good man. Well, I'm lucky to have a student like you. And you're lucky to have a wife like Karen. she's a good partner there. And I'm sure she's a great partner in every other way. But, you know, that was a nice demo. And once again, I looked at your body, and you'll see it when you see the video. You didn't move. That's sort of unusual, to tell you the truth. I haven't seen many people get that one straight off. So congrats. That was very well done. Yeah, so just by the way, Karen, thanks so much for coming. If you've got to do things, you just tell us. The main thing about this video is it's our weekly lesson, but I want to put it up and show people. So could I just get you to resist him with quickly a couple more different things?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. So I've told you that almost all martial arts focus on the hands, the fists, and the feet. And I was brought up in boxing, then a bit of jiu-jitsu, you know, sort of homemade jiu-jitsu, not really proper jiu-jitsu, but schoolyard wrestling and knuckle-ons at pubs and, you know, the sort of stuff that rough guys go through. And it was always about fists, you know, it was really about fists. Back in the old days in Australia, we didn't kick. It was considered pretty gutless to kick people. It changed in the 80s. People became a bit more gutless, maybe, I don't know, or the old blokey code sort of broke down. So people would tend to kick other people on the ground and do all sorts of what we call dingo acts. You know, a dingo's, you know, a wild Australian dog, but probably wrongly it was considered a coward. And, you know, we would say somebody was a dingo if they knocked a guy down and then kicked him while he was vulnerable on the ground. But yeah, there was always that. But the truth is, in Wing Chun, when I first struck it, I thought, this art's really different, because we would kick with our shins, kick with our you know, the knee, and it seemed to be a lot about using your whole forearm, not just your fist, but the whole forearm was part of the deal. And that's quite unusual. So when you get into lots of chi sao, you realize that you've got this, it becomes like a ball that's protecting you, but it's also an attacking thing. So people sometimes say, well, how are you going to use this in a vicious fight at speed? How are you going to hit them? It's hard to hit people if they're moving. That is true, but it's a lot easier to hit someone if you've got a baseball bat than if you're using a ping pong ball on a, you know, a ball on a rope or something. You're trying to hit him with a little thing like a fist, but if you're going to hit him with everything, boom, you've got much more chance of hitting them, aren't you? You know, it's just, it becomes more like sword fighting. Your arms and your legs are like swords. So what I want you to do this time is we'll just do a little bit of a the arm piece. In, you know, the first thing we do in Siu Nim Tau with the arms, you know, we do all the Tan Sao and Fuk Sao, the different things like that. But then we go like this, like that. And I always remember thinking, well, that's unusual, that whole movement. So it used to be just called a side slash, which it is, you know, it's, I mean, you know, some baddies are coming at you there, you go power, hit them. But as with all the parts of the form, it could be just one arm going like that, you know, and we do that in Bilji and other parts of the form. We move our arms in all different directions, but we start off in Siu Nim Tau, the first form, learning to do this and do this against resistance. So you know the form. So what I want you to do now is just bring your arms up into that first position. Face me. That's it. Maybe lift them just a little bit higher. Now, Karen, I want you, we're going to do the easy one first. It doesn't have to be easier, but no, you keep facing me, Chris. So Karen, I want you to just resist him near his elbow, like up towards his shoulder. That's it, yep. So he's going to move his arm out, and I just want you to stop him doing it. So try really hard this time. Okay, don't let him do it. Okay, do it again. She's strong, isn't she? So you tell me what's happening, Chris.
I'm cheating. I'm using my legs again. I can feel my body this side pushing. I wanted to push this way.
Yep.
And I've had to sink a little bit down, get my shoulders to my core to get that turn, shoulder turn to start with.
Yeah. So it's the same thing you felt in the Tan Sao. You're feeling her power, and you're using the normal, what is absolutely normal for humans, trying to fight it, isn't it?
Yeah.
And without getting into too much of a sidetrack, I talk a lot about the animal mind and how animals do stuff, and I don't think animals tend to think, oh, my wife's there trying to stop me. The animal either just stands there and lets you push on them, or I don't like that, goes like that, get out, but it sort of does it almost like, brushing off a fly. It doesn't really think about trying to resist. So do it again. So you get into that position, and Karen, you resist him at the same place. That's it. Now, Chris, first thing, your spine. First thing, up. Just think about your body, don't think. Now take, as you feel where Karen's touching you, just take that in. Don't go against it. Just take it in. Feel it flow into your body like water. Flow into your center. Now, I just want you to put your mind in your hand, in your left palm. That's it. And just stay in there. Now I want you to just think about that palm coming out. And the other one will help if you put your mind in both palms, and like we do with the balls. So just move that, just think there. That's it. Just keep the body the same. Yeah. Well, how was that, Karen?
I felt him push me a lot quicker that time. I had to lean in a bit more.
Yeah. There was a bit of a wobble because he's still trying to get his head around what's going on. But what did you feel, Chris?
Better. I wasn't using the feet as much. I was trying to use this thing about reminding my hands and just bringing the hand out.
Yeah.
I think difficult because the hands here and the pressure's here, so I'm finding it disconnect to the 2 points at the moment.
Well, that's right. If you can ignore that where Karen's pushing on you and put your mind in there, what happens is that you become like a human spanner, like a crowbar. So I get into the airy-fairy consciousness, animal mind stuff a lot, but I also can bring it down to some very interesting basic mechanics, and one of them is the principle of fulcrums. So when you relax your body and your shoulders relaxed and your elbows relaxed, and what happens is that when it sort of becomes one, it's like that's the bolt. There's like a bolt there, and your arm's just this thing shaped like a boomerang or something, or some kind of machine arm that's made out of steel, and the joint turns, but you don't have to think about that. When you're using a machine, you don't obsess about all its nuts and bolts and all those sort of things. They're just there, they're not loose, they'll work, they're greased up or whatever. They just work. So just try it again. So Karen, if you resist him again. All right, so just totally relax. Put your mind in your hand. Now you just got that fulcrum of your shoulder. The shoulder joint's a tiny little point you're turning around, and think about that joint turning if you want. But the main thing is just to turn your hand in that shape. Don't reach out. Just bring it round in that shape. That's it. That's about, yes, that was it. There was a slight hesitancy, and then you went, yep, I got it. You just sort of went, and she couldn't stop it. But did you feel you couldn't stop him that time?
No, I couldn't stop it.
Yeah.
I tried.
Yeah, I can see you were trying. And Chris, you weren't feeling a lot of tension or anything, were you?
No, I thought that the joint being on a pin, or on a pin or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that pin idea helps me a lot, and I can have my hand on my chest, and somebody can lean in and stop me there, and it really is sort of impossible. How would you do that? Like, I remember I couldn't do it for years. People used to test us until I had to work out different ways, but the main way I sort of came to it was realizing that I just had these joints, and as long as I stayed relaxed, the joints just worked naturally. And it's, for me, the big breakthrough was just having the mind in the hand and I reach out, but letting those joints stay relaxed, you become like a human, you know, socket set, like a Swiss Army knife or something like that, you know, like I believe actually this art comes from more than just fighting. I think this is probably wisdom from the Stone Age. You know, they always say, how did these people move these massive rocks and set up, you know, big rocks? But I think there's tales about really old men in Japanese gardens coming up, all the young guys using all their massive young strength trying to lift a rock up, and the old man said, yeah, I'll help you. And he's like a little frail old fella, and he's just relaxed and just gone like that, and the rocks come up. And I've experienced that many times, just trying it out on heavy things. If you try to use strengths, you really quickly reach a limit. But if you just relax, it's amazing. The thing will start to move, and it's really hard to get your head around how that's happening, but it happens, you know. And sometimes it feels like you've got this massive arm. It's like, you know, 100-kilo arm. Just go. So, that's the time. So I don't want to challenge you too much, but if somebody resists you here, that's more of a challenge. Like the further out you get towards the hand with somebody resisting, it's harder for your mind to believe that it's possible, basically. That's the Bill G stage, when you not only can get that feeling in your hands, which you're obviously doing. For me, Bill G is when I feel not only that I have this presence of mind in my fingertips, but also I believe that I can't be stopped. And it's hard to explain that in any other way. It's just sort of a thing, you know, it's like I've been learning Icelandic for years and years, and recently I realized that my sounds are not really good. And Icelanders it just rolls off their tongue, sort of like Scottish people roll their R's. But the more I try to grrr like that, the harder it gets. But when I relax and don't really try, then, oh, I did that right, you know. And this is very much like that. The harder you try, the more you're sort of trying. If you just relax, then things come. But I'm very impressed with you, to tell the truth. I'm not just saying this for the video. You've been doing really good. I've seen many people balk at these different things we're doing. So look, do it again. Just, Karen, maybe go to his other side. So Chris, if you move over, if you swap places. This is just a trick, but sometimes when you're being tested, if you get really blocked, and it's a mental thing, sometimes if you go to the other side, you'll find, oh, for some reason your brain doesn't have such an issue with that side. So let that side teach the other one. It's Sigong told a friend of mine who told me that part of this is sort of making mental channels all through your body. And by form testing, we're sort of, you could think of it like making those neuron pathways. You're sort of getting used to a particular movement and getting confidence that it works. And once you've got it, you've sort of got it. And then if you do it down that way, you might have a block. Oh, that's hard. But it's really exactly the same thing. So we work on all the different directions and build those neural pathways. All right. So Karen, you just resist him there and do the same thing. Relax the body, spine up. Relax your feet. That's it. Mind in the hand. Forget about Karen. Suck her in. Suck her force in. That's it. That's it. Yes. And I can see her being picked up. That's what I mean by breaking structure. Karen's obviously a strong girl, but when as soon as I can see you sort of like that, and then when you get it, she's sort of pushed off. So try it again. giving it to him pretty hard this time, Karen. Now, actually, when they do it hard, it can be better. So you can feel her stopping you now, can't you? So take that in, take that hardness in, suck it into your center till it's gone. Right? Just feel it's gone. Now just move your hand out. Don't think about anything else. Just move your hand around in that handle. That's it.
That was better. Yeah, that was better.
Yeah. Well, you're not an old geezer like me, but I think you're 40, about 40, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you've been a labourer.
I've done manual jobs.
Yeah. Well, it used to be a big thing in the old days in Australia. Most of us who weren't geniuses did a lot of manual labour, and one of the old tricks, just about every industry, you always had 44-gallon drums of fuel or oil or something like that. These days they probably wouldn't have it because workplace and health and safety. They'd go, oh no, have to use a forklift for that. Whereas in the 70s and that, it was just like, go and move that, mate. And they'd always get the young bloke and say, go and get that, especially your first day on the job. Yeah, mate, go and get those 44-gallon drums and move them over there. And they didn't really need to be moved, but it was just a good joke. So the old blokes would sit there having a smoke, watching the young guy just busting his boiler, trying to move these massive, super heavy drums. And they'd all be laughing, and then one of them would have mercy and come up and say, listen, mate, this is how you do it, and just grab the edge of it, kick it up on an angle and just roll it. And you just roll it and it takes all the weight, and all you got to do is roll it and keep it balanced. And it's very similar to a jackhammer. Anybody who's used a jackhammer knows it's not actually hard work. You just sort of hold it and balance it, and it does all the jumping up and down. Whereas beginners always get there and they're like gritting their teeth and they're trying to push on it and do a good job, and they're worn out within 20 minutes. And that's what Wing Chun is. It's a real sort of farmer's, labourer's art. It's like how to do things in a relaxed way so you can do it all day. You don't get absolutely buggered. And obviously in fighting, if you were in the very unfortunate circumstance you had to fight a group of guys by yourself, obviously the more relaxed and the less energy you're putting out, the more chance you've got of getting to the end of them. If they've got any sense, you can knock down 5 or 6 of them, they should have run away. But that's the point. It's not in Wing Chun, we shouldn't be puffing and panting and working hard. We want to conserve our energy. All right, so you did really well. So let's try the slightly harder one. So this time, do the same thing with your arms. Now, Karen, I want you now to resist him halfway up his forearm. That's it. Yeah. And you can use both hands if you want. So, Chris, you're just going to do the same thing. But that feels a bit harder, doesn't it?
Mm.
Does it? All right, so you have a go. All right. Do it again. Give him a bit of curry there, Karen. Yeah. But don't actually open the joint at this stage, even though a bit of that happens in that movement. Just for this, getting used to it, keep the angle. So just keep the arms in that sort of angle as you move. Just totally relaxed. No? So what do you reckon, Karen? How do you assess that one?
Yeah, he's actually stronger that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Maybe it's because when she's behind your elbow, you can sort of feel that she's right there. All right, let's make it a bit harder for him. Do it again. This time, put one hand behind his elbow. Like, that's it. Yeah, no, you stay. That's it. So you're resisting him behind there and there. All right, now don't open your arm. As I said, just keep that angle, but just relax, spine up, nice relaxed body floating, and just open. Yeah. I think I probably don't need to give you any more lessons. You seem to have mastered the art. No, you're really getting it, mate. I'm impressed. That looked good. How did you feel about it?
That one's difficult because I present two different places, so I have to think about moving around that energy into rather than one place, in two places.
Yep.
So it's strange, yeah.
Yeah. So at this stage of your practice, there's nothing wrong with putting your mind into those points if you can hold it there and work it. That's, experiment with that. But I would say, even for somebody very good at the art, if you can just put your mind in the hand and keep everything relaxed and just move that as if there's nothing there, you'll find that the natural mechanics, the natural spanner will work. That's why animals are so dangerous. Like, my mother's family are all like just really full-on horse people, like cowboys, rodeo riders, trick riders, buck jumpers, rodeo clowns. My cousin, when I first met her, she was 12. And the first time I laid eyes on my cousin, she was on a horse galloping across a paddock, standing in the saddle and cracking a whip. Right, this is my 12-year-old cousin galloping on this bloody horse, full gallop. I don't know, I thought, bloody hell, I'm part of the Beverly Hillbillies or something, but they were just incredible. And she had this act where she did the Russian death drag. She'd sort of hang off the saddle with a hand touching the ground, and her brother, who was a bit younger, but he used to actually gallop facing the horse's butt, and the horse was going that way and he's facing this way. So these guys are amazing. And I always remember her showing me this horseshoe bruise on her leg where a horse kicked her. And she said, I think it was only a pony, but she said she was very lucky it didn't break a leg. And after that, I used to pay attention to horses. My dad always said, never walk around the rear end of a horse if it doesn't know you, because it'll just go pow and kick you one. And since then on YouTube, I've seen pictures of, those mad people that run the bulls in Spain. You've seen those terrible videos where the bulls are just like kicking that crap out of people. And they literally kick them and they go flying through the air. You just see them getting broken. Like, they just go boom, sort of boom. And that, we talked about it in the last lesson about kicking. Those animals they didn't go to animal kung fu school to learn to kick like that. They just kick. And it's the same as this. If we can just move, it's got incredible force in it. And so I take my hat off to you both today. You did a great job, Karen. You're a terrific partner. You didn't try too hard. You weren't too mean, but you gave him enough, and you gave him good feedback. And Chris, you really didn't surprise me, because I know how into it you are, and you actually listened to me. Thank you very much. You take it as the truth, what I say. You don't resist, and so you're finding that it's true, because what I teach is really what's been passed down from the people I admire, people who've blown me out. But yeah, you did really well, and I just hope that whoever's watching today got some inspiration from us. And I'll sign off there and just wish you all the best with your Wing Chun. And do you know how to do it, Karen? It's left palm's flat, right fist. You put them together like that. That's it. And you just do a little bow. And it's sort of like, you know, a mark of friendship, respect. In Wing Chun, we always do that. Bruce Lee used to do that. Okay, so we'll leave it there.